Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, you're finally ready to upgrade your gaming rig and experience the glorious world of high frame rates and stunning visuals, huh? That's awesome. But before you pull out your wallet and drop a huge chunk of change on a shiny new graphics card, let's pump the brakes for a second. We all know that GPUs are the beating heart of any gaming PC, and picking the right one can be a daunting task, especially with all the specs and jargon thrown around. Trust me, I've been there, staring at endless product pages, trying to decipher what's actually important. And let's be real, nobody wants to end up with buyer's remorse, feeling like they just wasted their hard-earned cash. That's why today we're diving into the top 5 costly mistakes you need to avoid when buying a graphics card in 2024. We're talking about those facepalm moments that could leave you with a GPU that's bottlenecked, overheating, or just plain overkill for your needs. Let's make sure you get the best bang for your buck. Alright, first things first, let's talk about matching your GPU with your monitor. This is a mistake I see people making all the time. And it's like buying a Ferrari to drive in a school zone. Totally overkill and a waste of your hard-earned cash. See, your monitor's resolution and refresh rate play a huge role in determining how much GPU horsepower you actually need. If you're rocking a 1080p 60Hz monitor, which, let's be honest, a lot of people still are, then there's absolutely no need to splurge on a top-of-the-line RTX 4090. It's like trying to stuff a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't make sense. Think of it this way, your GPU is like a factory churning out frames, and your monitor is the display window showcasing those frames. If your factory is producing way more frames than your display window can handle, you're left with a backlog of wasted potential. A more modest GPU, something like an RTX 3060 or an RX 6600, would be more than enough to drive that 1080p 60Hz monitor without breaking a sweat, leaving you with some extra cash in your pocket. You could put that towards a faster SSD, more RAM, or even just treat yourself to a nice dinner your call. Now, if you're planning on stepping up to a higher resolution and refresh rate like 1440p 144Hz or even 4K 120Hz, then yeah, investing in a beefier GPU starts to make a lot more sense. But even then, it's crucial to find that sweet spot between performance and price. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that more is always better. Do your research, check out benchmarks and reviews, and make sure the GPU you choose aligns with your monitor's capabilities. Remember, it's all about finding that perfect balance, and nobody wants to be GPU bound. Okay, so you've figured out the whole monitor and GPU compatibility thing? Awesome. Now, let's talk about the games you actually want to play because, let's be real, that's what it's all about, right? Just like how you wouldn't use a butter knife to chop down a tree, you don't want to use a low-end GPU to run demanding A-AA titles. Different games have different system requirements, and some are more power-hungry than others. If you're all about those graphically intense, immersive, open-world RPGs like Cyberpunk 2077 or Red Dead Redemption 2, then you're going to need a GPU with some serious muscle. We're talking about cards that can handle high resolutions, crank up the texture details to ultra, and maybe even throw in some ray tracing for good measure. These games are designed to push the boundaries of visual fidelity, and they demand a lot from your hardware. Think of it like this. Your GPU is the engine of your gaming PC, and those demanding games are like towing a trailer uphill. You need that extra horsepower to keep things running smoothly. On the other hand, if you're more into competitive esports titles like Valorant, CSGO, or League of Legends, then you can probably get away with a more mid-range GPU. These games prioritize high frame rates and responsiveness over fancy graphics, so you don't need the absolute latest and greatest to stay competitive. The key takeaway here is to do your research and figure out what games you're going to be playing most often. Look up the recommended system requirements, check out benchmarks comparing different GPUs and see what other gamers are saying. Remember, it's all about finding that sweet spot between performance and price, and you don't want to be stuck with a GPU that can't handle your favorite games. Alright, so you've got your monitor and GPU figured out and you've got a list of games you're dying to play. But before you hit that buy now button, there's one more crucial thing we need to talk about: power supply and CPU compatibility. This is where things can get a little bit technical, but trust me, it's important stuff. Ignoring these factors is like trying to run a marathon without proper training and nutrition. You might start strong, but you'll likely crash and burn before reaching the finish line. First up, let's talk about the power supply unit, or PSU for short. This is the unsung hero of your PC, supplying juice to all your components, and it plays a critical role in keeping your system stable and running smoothly. Each GPU has a specific power draw, measured in watts, and you need to make sure your PSU can handle it. Think of it like this: your GPU is a thirsty athlete, and the PSU is the water bottle. You don't want to run out of water mid-workout, right? Using a PSU that's too weak for your GPU can lead to all sorts of problems, from system instability and crashes to even damaging your components. It's like trying to power a high-end gaming rig with an AA battery. It's just not going to end well. Next up, we've got CPU compatibility, and this is all about avoiding bottlenecks. A bottleneck occurs when one component in your system is holding back the performance of another, and it's like having a super fast car stuck in traffic. Frustrating, right? If you pair a powerful GPU with a weak CPU, you're essentially limiting the GPU's potential. It's like having a world-class chef trying to prepare a gourmet meal in a tiny kitchen with limited appliances. They can only do so much with what they've got. Alright, we're getting close to the finish line here, but before you hit that checkout button, there are a couple more things to consider, and they both have to do with keeping your precious GPU running cool and happy. We're talking about cooling and case compatibility. Now, GPUs generate a lot of heat, especially those high-end beasts that are cranking out frames like there's no tomorrow. And just like how you wouldn't want to wear a winter coat in the middle of summer, you don't want your GPU suffocating inside your PC case. Overheating can lead to all sorts of nasty issues, from performance throttling and stuttering gameplay to even permanent damage to your components. It's like trying to run a marathon in a sauna, not exactly a recipe for success, right? That's why it's crucial to make sure your case has adequate airflow and that your GPU has a proper cooling solution. Most modern GPUs come with their own coolers, but some, especially those high-end models, might require a bit more breathing room. We're talking about things like multiple fan setups, liquid cooling solutions, and even custom water cooling loops for the real enthusiasts out there. It's all about finding that balance between cooling performance, noise levels, and of course your budget. And speaking of case compatibility, you need to make sure that the GPU you're eyeing actually fits inside your case. GPUs come in all shapes and sizes, and some of those high-end cards can be absolute chonkers, taking up multiple expansion slots and requiring a whole lot of clearance. Alright, we've covered a lot of ground here, from matching your GPU with your monitor and games to making sure your PSU can handle the power draw and your case can keep everything cool. But before you go on a spending spree, there's one final, and arguably the most important, mistake to avoid. Don't get played by outdated or overpriced GPUs. The world of tech moves fast, and what was considered top of the line yesterday might be mediocre by today's standards. It's like buying a brand new flip phone in the age of smartphones. Sure, it might still make calls, but you're missing out on a whole lot of features and performance. The same goes for GPUs. While that GTX 1060 might have been all the rage a few years ago, it's starting to show its age compared to newer models like the RTX 3060. For around the same price, you can get significantly better performance, newer features like ray tracing and DLSS, and a GPU that's built on a more modern architecture. And speaking of price, let's be real, GPUs have been through a wild ride these past couple of years, with inflated prices and limited availability. But things are finally starting to settle down, and it's more important than ever to be a savvy shopper. Don't fall into the trap of panic buying or overpaying for a GPU just because it's the latest and greatest. Do your research, compare prices from different retailers, and don't be afraid to wait for a sale or a better deal. Remember, patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to saving money on PC components. And there you have it, folks. 5 costly mistakes to avoid when buying a graphics card in 2024. I know it's a lot to take in, but trust me, taking the time to do your research and understand these factors will save you a lot of headaches and, more importantly, a lot of money in the long run. Remember, buying a GPU is an investment in your gaming experience, and it's something that should bring you joy, not buyer's remorse. So, do your homework, shop smart, and most importantly, have fun. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your own tips or questions about buying a graphics card. See you in the next video.